Welcome to all-night society. I've spent the last few days wrestling with a truth I can't quite comprehend, and it's been gnawing at me like a festering wound. I need to warn you. This isn't a story you'll forget easily. It started about a week ago. I had just moved into a new apartment in a quiet part of town, one where the streetlights flicker at odd intervals, and the trees scrape against the windows like skeletal fingers. I was excited for a fresh start, but my excitement quickly turned into anxiety when I realized that my new neighbors seemed off. They would stand outside at all hours, staring into the dark, whispering to themselves in voices that sounded like a forgotten language. I thought it was just my imagination, a symptom of being in a new place, but something about their gnarled faces stuck with me. First night, I had a dream. I was standing in the middle of a dense fog, unable to see anything around me. I felt an overwhelming sense of dread, as if something was lurking just beyond my line of sight. In the dream, I heard a voice, soft and slithering, calling my name. It felt familiar and bizarre at the same time. The moment I tried to respond, I was jolted awake, heart racing, drenched in sweat. I shook it off, blaming the weirdness on the stress of moving. But the dreams didn't stop. Every night it was the same scenario. The thick fog, the voice calling me. Only it wasn't just my name being whispered anymore. It was my mother's voice, my childhood friend, people I haven't spoken to in years. I'd wake up screaming, and each time I could swear I felt cold breath against my neck, chilling me to the bone. I told myself it was just nightmares, but they felt too real, too vivid to dismiss. And then it happened. On the fourth night, I woke up to find my bedroom door slightly ajar, just enough for a sliver of pale light to creep in from the hallway. The air was heavy, thick, with an unshakable sense of foreboding. As I lay there, frozen, I could hear it, the whispers from my dreams, but now they were closer, clearer. I glanced at the clock. It was 3:33 a.m. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. It felt like the room was closing in on me, and I could see shadows dancing just beyond the doorframe. Before I could process anything, I felt a tugging at the foot of my bed. It was as if something was trying to pull the blanket away from me. Panic surged through me, and I bolted upright, scanning the darkness. That's when I saw it. A figure standing in the corner of my room, just outside the reach of the light. It was tall and gaunt, with elongated limbs and a face that was obscured by shadows. And it was staring at me, a grin stretching across its face, impossibly wide. I screamed, and in instant, it was gone. The room fell silent, and I could only hear the pounding of my heart. I spent the rest of the night packing my apartment, convinced that whatever I had seen was not just a figment of my imagination. The next morning, I decided to confront my neighbors, thinking maybe they'd experienced something similar. But when I knocked on their doors, they were all gone. The apartments were empty, as if they had never been lived in at all. Now I'm sitting in my dimly lit living room, haunted by the echoes of those dreams and the figure that invaded my reality. I've tried to reach out to friends, but when I tell them what happened, they laugh it off as stress or just my imagination running wild. But deep down, I can't shake the feeling that something is very wrong. I keep hearing my name being whispered in the dark. I don't know how much longer I can stay here, but I'm terrified to leave. What if it follows me? I can't shake the feeling that whatever it is, it's waiting for me to fall asleep again. I never believed in the supernatural or any of that. You're just stressed crap. But what happened to me over the last few weeks has turned my world upside down, and I honestly don't know where to turn. I'm hoping that sharing my experience might help me process it. Or maybe someone here has been through something similar. It all started a month ago. I began having these incredibly vivid nightmares. They weren't just unsettling, they felt real. In the dreams, I would be in my childhood home, the air thick with an eerie stillness. Everything would be intact, but off. The colors seemed more muted, and the shadows lingered a little too long. I was always alone, walking through rooms filled with memories that felt like ghosts. Then came the figures, tall, dark shapes that slinked around corners, always just out of sight, waiting. I would wake up drenched in sweat, heart racing, but I brushed it off as anxiety. Last week, I woke up on a Tuesday morning to find a cracked window in my living room, despite it being locked when I went to sleep. It was strange, but I thought maybe I had forgotten to close it properly. Then things started to escalate. I began seeing flickers of movement in my peripheral vision. I'd catch glimpses of shadowy figures as I walked through my apartment at night. I would swear I heard whispers in the silence, but when I turned around, there was nothing, just the hum of my fridge and the rhythmic tapping of the old radiator. On Thursday night, I had another nightmare. This time, it was more intense. I dreamt that I was trapped in a small, dark room with those same figures closing in on me. They were whispering my name, but their voices sounded like a chorus of my own thoughts, twisted into something sinister. up screaming, and my pulse felt like it was about to burst out of my chest. I tried to shake it off, but the unease lingered. I couldn't bear to sleep for a few nights. I just stayed up, binge-watching mindless TV shows until dawn. Just yesterday, I decided to take a break from my routine. I went for a walk in a nearby park, hopping to clear my head. But when I turned to head home, I felt an overwhelming sense of dread wash over me. I looked down a path I usually avoid. It's overgrown and almost feels like it leads nowhere. But I felt compelled to walk it, like an invisible force was pulling me. As I got further down the path, I could hear those whispers again, echoing through the trees. I turned to leave, but I swear I saw one of those dark figures standing behind a tree, just watching me. I ran. I didn't stop until I was inside my apartment, heart racing and breathless. Now I'm sitting here, wide awake at 3 a.m., staring at the shadows in my room. I feel like I'm losing grip on reality. I'm terrified to sleep, terrified of what else might come to life. I don't know if I'm going crazy or if something genuinely sinister is happening. What do I do? I feel like I'm teetering on the edge of something dark, and I don't know how to pull myself back. I never believed in nightmares being anything more than just our minds playing tricks on us, until last month when I started dreaming about him. His name is Marcus. I know this because he whispers it to me every time I close my eyes. It's like he's trying to pull me into a world where he feels safe. But I can't shake the feeling that I am being hunted. It started after I read an article about a local murder case. A man had been found dead in a park nearby, and they never caught his killer. As I read the details, my heart raced. The eeriness of it all sent chills down my spine. I couldn't stop thinking about how close it was to home, but I didn't expect it to manifest in my dreams. The first time I saw Marcus, I was in a foggy alley, the kind that felt both familiar and foreign. There he stood, a silhouette against the dim light, his eyes glinting in the darkness. I remember the way he smiled so unsettlingly wide, like he was enjoying a private joke. I turned to run, but it was like my legs were glued to the ground. In that moment, I knew he was coming for me. I jolted awake, drenched in sweat, convinced that it was just a dream. But each night he was there, growing more vivid, more desperate. Then things took a turn for the worse. I started seeing signs of him during the day. A shadow darting past the corner of my vision. A flicker of movement behind me when I was alone. I brushed it off as stress and lack of sleep, but deep down, I felt something darker. I began to research Marcus, hoping to find something a connection, a reason for his presence in my dreams. That's when I found the news report. It described how he had been a promising artist before spiraling into violence. His art was hauntingly beautiful, imprinting the anguish he felt onto canvas. The police said he had left notes for his victims, cryptic messages that spoke of his twisted philosophy on life and death. The last note was never found, leaving the case open, and I couldn't help but feel that it was a message intended for me. Perhaps he was looking for someone to understand him. Or maybe he just wanted to drag me into his darkness. I've tried everything, talking to friends, keeping a dream journal, even seeing a therapist. Each time I close my eyes, there he is, chasing me through my nightmares, his whispers growing louder. I feel like he's becoming a part of me. I dread sleep now, afraid of what he might reveal next. Some nights, I wake up with bruises on my arms, as if I fought him off in my dreams. I am not sure how much longer I can endure this torment,